So I made a video, last week talking about how I didn't feel as though the Warriors were real contenders. And since then, I made a video a couple days ago talking about their resilience. Impressive win against the Rockets a few days ago to snap a losing streak. And now I want to talk about how they're changing things up and finding ways to succeed with a different looking roster and in different ways than in previous years. The Warriors look really, really good as of late. These last couple games have been impressive. A very impressive win tonight against a very good and healthy Timberwolves team. And the type of win that is, again, a building block, just like the Rockets win a couple nights ago, for a team that still does, I would think, have aspirations of competing in the Western Conference. Look, do I believe they're serious title contenders? As of right now, no, probably not. Do I believe that they on any given night can beat any team and are very, very competitive, especially, when you got 30 on your side, you're always in a good spot, right? But I've been very impressed as of late by the Warriors, and I want to talk about why that is. And I know I just made a video talking kind of similarly about this, but we're gonna make some different points in this video, so I hope y'all stick with me for this one. Before we hop into it, if y'all haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 2,000 subscriber mark on the channel. We hit 1K yesterday. Really appreciate all y'all's support recently on the channel, uploading multiple NBA videos every single day. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. Without further ado, let's hop right into it and let's talk about the game. So first things first, Timberwolves lose by 8. Warriors outscored the T-Wolves by 5 in the fourth quarter. Steph with 30, Buddy Hield with a huge 27, his first big game in a while, and the type of game the Warriors absolutely had to have tonight. Kuminga with another 20.7 rebound performance, 2 steals and 3 blocks as well, making an impact defensively. They out-rebound impressively the Timberwolves, which is a good start. They had 14 offensive rebounds to the Timberwolves, 7 out-rebound them by 6 overall. They turned the ball over 3 times less and find a way to win a game that without Wiggins, who is day-to-day with an ankle sprain, but I would think should be back pretty shortly, they find a way to win. And honestly, I like the way that they played their lineup tonight. I really do. They started Draymond at center. Now, in the game they lost against the Timberwolves a couple days ago, they started Looney at center, and they actually started Kuminga at the 4, brought Draymond off the bench with Wiggins starting as well. They're showing some versatility lineup-wise that I really like, and Steve Kerr did say that he would like to keep that going with Draymond coming off the bench, which is a weird change for sure, right? Like, it's not what I think people expect, but with how well Kuminga has been playing as of late, and with the plan that Draymond will still play significant minutes and will close both halves at the center position, it really provides the Warriors with a lineup that I actually think I like more, especially for closing games. I think Draymond at the 5 is generally speaking the best option for the Warriors, but I love the fact that he's got the versatility to still play the 4, especially since he's shooting the 3 ball better this season. And I really like what the Warriors are doing as of late, man. When you look at the numbers so far this season, they are winning more so with defense than they are with offense, which is a big, big deal for a team that obviously for so long has been such an elite offensive team, with the exception of the 2 terrible years in 1920 and then 2021, which wasn't great either. When you look at most of these other years, it's all offense. You know what I mean? Obviously in their dynasty with Clay, Steph, Draymond, KD for a few years, like they're the best offensive team in the world and one of the best ever, right? Nowadays, they're 21st in points per 100 possessions. Like, it's not ideal, but they don't turn the ball over a ton. They rebound the ball pretty well, despite a lack of elite level size. I mean, Looney is a huge asset for that. But most importantly and most impressively for this team this year, yes, they foul maybe a little too much, but outside of that, they're 4th in opponent points per 100 possessions. They're 3rd in effective field goal percentage for opponents. They rebound really well on both ends of the court, and they force a decent amount of turnovers, just like they don't turn the ball over a lot. It's about the same. So they're winning games with defense this year, and that's huge because you can always find offense with Steph Curry on the court. And I think with Jonathan Kuminga's recent resurgence offensively, that's going to be a big help for this team as well, for a team that has been so reliant on Steph. I mean, when you look at the on-off numbers, it is still Steph and Draymond who are the driving factors behind this team's success for the most part. But again, Wiggins has had a resurgent season, and he should be back very shortly. Buddy Hield has been a really nice free agent addition. Losing DeAnthony Melton was tragic. He's out for the year, and he was a huge, huge piece for this team. And I think when they lost him, that was one of the reasons where I was like, oh no, this team's not a contender. But they have bounced back really well as of late, and I think Kuminga has been a big part of the reason why. I get that he has struggled for much of the year, but these last few games, he's been great. Defensively, he's had a really solid year, and he's a very impactful defensive player. And I think he is going to be kind of the X factor for this team in a lot of ways if they want to compete to be towards the top of the Western Conference. They're 14-9. They've won only 4 out of the last 6 games, though, because they were on, a 4 or 5 game losing streak before beating the Rockets. But they're finding their way for sure. A positive 5 net rating, which is not too shabby. Do I think they're a top 4 seed in the West? No. Do I think they're a very competitive team in the West that can compete with any team on any given night, like I said earlier in the video? Absolutely. And the key to this team is going to be the ability to roll with the punches, to play with the flexibility that is very Warriors-like, and find enough offense. Like guys like Buddy Hield are going to be huge. They're going to need more from guys like, I mean, you can look at a few of these guys when it comes to the shooting numbers who need to shoot the ball better. I mean, obviously Draymond's been really good this year. Wiggins has been awesome and very resurgent as a shooter, but Podziemski has been atrocious shooting the ball. Kuminga, outside of these last few games, has not been a big factor offensively, so it's nice to see him take a step up. Again, they lost Anthony Melton for the year. Moses Moody has been good and I think should play more. Kyle Anderson has not shot the ball well, but I think his defense is valuable, so if he could start to shoot the ball well, that would be nice. Gary Payton is still a total non-factor as a shooter, but yes, he provides athleticism, pace, and defense. But again, if they can get some more contributions, especially number one from Brandon Podziemski, I think Podziemski is the guy that they really need to take a step forward. Him and obviously Kuminga, but Kuminga's played much better as of late. When you look at Podziemski's numbers from last year, he was a 38.5% three-point shooter, 45% from the field. This year, he's actually finishing inside the three-point line at a higher rate, but he's shooting the ball so poorly that it takes away a lot of the value that he has been able to provide to this team, because what he does well is he's a legitimate, capable playmaker. He's a pretty good scorer off the dribble, and he's supposed to be a guy who spaces the floor at a high level as well. He has been very far from that this season, and I think if he can start to have some bounce-back performances and find his groove again, 2 of 5, 2 of 4 from 3 tonight in 20 minutes. Again, it's not incredible, but 3 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers. It's better. It's a step in the right direction, and the Warriors are going to have to rebuild his confidence and get him back to playing at the high level that he has shown to be able to in the past in order for this team to be competitive. And so the key, again, is going to be the shooting for guys who haven't shot the ball well this year. If that can take a little bit more of a step back in that right direction, some of these other stats that we're looking at in terms of their team stats offensively and things like that could actually take a step in the right direction. And if that happens, considering they're actually slightly underperforming their expected win percentage based on how their point differential so far this season per 100 possessions, this team, if they can get these offensive numbers going a little bit more in the right direction, which again, if they can get some of these guys out of their slumps offensively, they can be in a really, really good position to be a very good offensive team and a great defensive team. And that's the mark of a serious championship contender, is a squad that is able to do both. I mean, when you look at the champions these last few years, a team that I think comes to mind as kind of the opposite of this team, but in some ways makes a lot of sense in comparable ways, is the Nuggets from a couple of years ago, who were an elite offensive team and a good, not great defensive team. When you look at the numbers from their championship season, they were average. They weren't awesome, but they were average defensively, and they were really, really good pretty much across the board offensively. The Warriors have the ability to kind of be the opposite or the antithesis of that. If they can get to shooting a little bit better, then they can be a great defensive team the way they've been playing this year, and a solid enough offensive team to, I think, be super competitive. I love the versatility. Kevon Looney has played much better as of late. He's a guy who obviously flies under the radar in a lot of ways, a lot of the time for Golden State, but I think he's a huge piece and a huge key for this team as well, the same way that he was in 2022 when they made a run to the title again. Look, I actually am starting to believe again in this team. I'm trying to temper my expectations still, for sure, because I think the West is super tough, and I'm not sure they're really quite ready to be at the top of the West. But if they can get a jump from Podziemski at a level that he has not been at yet, if Kuminga can sustain the impressive improved offensive production that he's been putting up recently with what looks to be improved confidence, this is a team that can be very, very competitive again in the Western Conference, and I think is stabilizing themselves in a very important stretch of the season. I mean, we're about to get to what I guess would be considered the doldrums of the season in a lot of ways. It's a long year. These games, they're 25 games in or so. They got 60-ish more to go, 50-something more games. Like, you got to settle in. You got to start to find some consistency. You got to stabilize. And the Warriors seem to be doing that right now in a tough Western Conference, which is really, really important when other teams around them are a bit more volatile. Teams like the Lakers and Suns and stuff like that having a lot of that volatility. The Warriors are starting to stabilize, and that is a big, big deal for this team. So I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you'll hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.